Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, and pride. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans want to know. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, it's episode number 63. Can you believe
63.
that?
We've made it 60 more than Tommy thought we would. Man, what's going on, fellas? Tommy, you doing okay?
Shoot, man, it's good. I got up this morning. I started. You got me started on it, Dougie. You getting all slim and trim, man. But I started my journey because I seen you, and the end of September I started. I was 303. My new weight this morning was 240.9, and I was shooting for 240. So I'm about there, man.
Wow.
Well, we can just put a piece of electrical tape over that 9 and we'll have 240. That work.
I'm tickled to death. You ain't kidding. That's close. And shoot, now I've decided I might go to 235, but that's going to be it.
And you know what, Gene? I saw Tommy last week, man, and I was talking about, which he looks great, but we was talking about, I told him, I said, you feel a lot better, don't you? Which, I mean, just your back, your knees, your joints, shoulders, everything feels better, which I used to think, people just says that, but if you actually do it, it kind of makes everything feel better. Hey, Gene, I'm sure Tommy, I know he does. He's got the 10th and 11th. Tommy's going to be in Kentucky, and he can tell you it's Hog Holler or something, ain't it, Tommy?
Holler for heroes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the 10th and the 11th in Pineville, Kentucky. It's Friday, Saturday, and the autograph signing's during the day. And then they're having wrestling that night. On Friday night, I'm wrestling, so I'm looking forward to that. It's been that wrestling up in Kentucky. Of course, that's where we did a lot of wrestling up through that Kentucky too. You and myself did. Yeah. And and hey, I did the big event this past weekend. We did the big event, and I was kind of marking out. I ain't seen, of course, I love tagging with you, but when I was in Georgia. And I hadn't seen him since then, and so that's been probably 30 years or more. Rick Martell and Don Morocco was there, man, and I got to see Don, and that Rick was so busy, and I was pretty doggone busy myself. We didn't even get to see each other, so he called me, and we shot the breeze for a little bit, man. It's good talking to him, and he might be in Las Vegas. I'm not sure yet. But anyway, it's always good the wrestling events like that you get to see, some of the guys you ain't seen it for years, and some of the wrestling fans, they had a great turnout, man.
That's great, man.
Martell and Morocco are guys that don't usually do those types of things or haven't been, so that's really cool. I'm sure people are super excited.
Yeah. They said everybody was really excited about that. Tommy's got that going on, Gene, and then I've got the April the 4th, Henderson, Tennessee. It's a big show they do every year. I think you just want to tell me this is actually the 20th year, ain't that?
Yeah.
Am I right, Gene? For this, and I've been to probably 16 or 17 of them. I think I was overseas for one or two of them and somewhere else for one, but I've been at almost every one of them, and man, it's a cool deal. It's for a great cause and everything, but that's on the 4th, and then on the 25th, I'll be in Jonesboro, Arkansas, at the Earl Bell Community Center. A guy sent me a little something about that last night, and that's supposed to be going to be a big deal. Be a signing from, I think it's 4 to 6, and then wrestling after that night. But at the Earl Bell Community Center there in Jonesboro, and that's the 25th. And then on May the 8th and 9th, Tommy and myself will be in St. Louis, Missouri for SICW Wrestle Fest, and that should be a really cool thing and all. And I mean, there'll be a lot of people there. It's a Bruiser Brody Memorial. I think I'm saying that right, Tommy?
Yes, sir. It's it's great. I met when Jerry Blackwell was running Southern Championship Wrestling there. Bruiser Brody would come in and do shows for me. He would, he was a man's man, but when he got away from the scenes, he'd come out and spend the night with me some. And what a family man too, man. He'd tell me about building a treehouse for his kids. So I'm real excited about seeing Barbara and all the wrestling fans. And of course, that was a big area up there, Kansas City. Back in the day, that was a hotbed for professional wrestling. And big shout out to Herb, putting all this together. SICW. I want to thank y'all for having us, man, and just really excited about that.
Yeah, that's gonna be 2 big nights, Gene, and there's gonna be the first night. I think Mick Foley's got his. I don't want to say comedy show. What is it? It's like just a talking wrestling, maybe, Gene, something like that on Friday night. But they say that's real cool. I had never been to one of his shows, but I've heard people say they're cool and everything. But they're having that, and there's going to be a ton of different people there. So I mean, it'd be a cool thing to come out to and see. And like I said, me and Tommy will be there taking pictures together, taking pictures by ourselves, signing. Whatever. I've seen me and Tommy went, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. And like Tommy said, that was which like Atlanta was a hotbed, say for Georgia, St. Louis was a hotbed for that area. And I mean, the NWA was, well, I was fixing to say it was popular, but then during them days, the NWA was about, I mean, you had the AWA, but the NWA was really hot, and especially in that area.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one. I know it is every year, but man, what a lineup this year. Go check it out, folks. Look at that flyer and look at all the people that are going to be on there. But most importantly, Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich are going to be there. So make sure you make your way out and enjoy that. And I got to go to one of Foley's shows back a few years ago in Birmingham, and it was really
yeah. Somebody told me you opened up for him, didn't you?
I would try to now if he came around. I didn't at the time, but my buddy.
So you try to now? August the 29th, Tommy and myself will be at the first annual memorial type show for Sid Vicious. It's in Marion, Arkansas. And I think it's Marion. It'd be West Memphis or Marion. I think his son told me Marion. And he just told me the other day they was looking at different venues, but that they locked that date in, and all the proceeds goes to, it's a cool deal, goes to the animal shelters. Everything's going to be donated to the animal shelters in that area, and I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna put that on my calendar. I definitely want to come check that out. I also want to mention that there's going to be a benefit in Boonville at the EPW Arena for Wayne Blaylock. Bad Boy Burns passed away recently, and they already had a benefit planned before he passed, but they're doing one. They're going to go ahead and carry it through to try to help with his final expenses.
Hey,
that's something you brought that up. You see the shirt I got on EPW, though.
Exactly. Exactly. So I hope everybody comes and supports that.
And Gene, he wrestled and everything, right?
Yeah, he did. He did some Memphis TV. I actually come across some stuff from '85 where he actually was in Mississippi. He always wrestled as Bad Boy Burns in some different states, but in Memphis he actually wrestled as Wayne Blaylock. And I know I've seen matches of him with the Fabulous Ones and Lawler and different ones. So yeah, he was there in the mid '80s.
Now, where is that show going to be at the arena y'all do?
Yeah, it's technically not an EPW show. His sons are putting it on, but Neil is letting them use the building there where the EPW shows run.
Well, that's very kind of Neil, and I hope it does real good. And I hope everybody comes out, and you can never tell who might show up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be a big one. So make sure you guys check that out again. Saturday, April the 11th, there in Boonville at the arena. And speaking of, it's very odd the proximity of this, because a lot of people later in his career used to mistake Bad Boy Burns, Wayne Blaylock, for Dennis Condrey. Like, we all went to Alabama and wrestled in Russell, Alabama, and when we came in the door, these guys run up and like, Loverboy Dennis, hey, what are you doing? They thought it was him, and
so they thought he was Dennis Condrey.
yeah, they thought he was Dennis Condrey, and
that's some big shoes to fill right there. Dennis.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that kind of pressure.
And I'd like to send our regards to Dennis's family and everything. We lost another good one, man. Dennis was one heck of a worker and a great guy too. You know, Dennis. Of course, I first met Dennis. I think it was him and Bobby teaming up. It might have been him and Phil Hickerson.
Him and Phil. Yeah, I was going to say, Tommy, when
you know, Dennis. I go way back with Dennis, and like I said, you know, we lost another good one, man.
Well, and you know what, Gene, everybody, which, and all, and with age, I guess, tells a lot of it, but, you know, a lot of people, and Dennis and Bobby was great. But when you go back before that, I've heard a whole lot of people say that one of the best tag teams that they've ever seen was Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson. You would think when they say Dennis, they're going to say Bobby. Right. I mean, you know, and most people, and like I said, it depends on the age there, I guess. But I've heard a lot of people down here in the South say one of the best tag teams they've ever seen is Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson.
Yeah, you know, just last week we were commenting that was kind of a glaring omission that, you know, Dennis Condrey and Phil Hickerson didn't make that top 20 list. And I've heard from quite a few people through the week about different people that weren't on the list that should have been and shouldn't have been, things like that. But I really hate that.
And you know what I've heard during the week too? You know, another team that I've heard, which they've been 2 or 3 different teams, but another one that 2 or 3 different people sent me said, you know, one of the teams I don't think people think about that was really good. And I said, what's that? And they said, Bobby Eaton, Coco Ware. Have you heard
I
that?
have.
And Tommy, you remember when Bobby and Coco was partners, right?
Dang, I've just been to say, I don't know if I remember that or not.
Or that might be when you was in Georgia.
It might have been, because I sure don't. I'm not, you know, not pretty much. You know, me and Bobby. Shoot, I started with Bobby, man. We started with me and him would go to Tupelo, Mississippi from Nashville together, and back in we drank in Pony Millers. We started out, we drink an 8-pack apiece. By the time that trip was over at the end, we were drinking a case of them. I love me some Bobby, man. He was, I got some stories. Yeah, I tell you what, just one heck of a nice guy, though, Bobby.
Hey, a guy sent me a picture, Gene. He had his comments and put that in comments, but he had a picture, and the picture was of Bobby and of Coco, and they had shirts on that said, and which this was a Jimmy Hart deal, that he had a song, "We Hate School," I think was the name of it. Yeah. And they had on solid white tights, long tights, short tights, and a white shirt with black writing on it that said, "We hate school," and everything. And I thought that was pretty cool. But I had a couple of them, and then also, which knew this was going to come along, the Fargos, and Tommy said that right off the bat, you know, about like Jackie and Don and stuff. But there was a few different teams like that. But it was Phil and Dennis, that was one. But there's quite a few.
That's why I like those kind of lists, because whether you agree with them or not, it sparks conversation, you know, amongst us, amongst the listeners, and I mean, you can make a case for a lot of teams, but yeah, Bobby and Coco didn't team for a long time, but they were a really good team while they did. I think it was around 83 probably when they were teaming up, maybe late 82. So yeah, Tom, you definitely would have been over in Georgia in that period. But we'll have some more of those lists come along as we go along. But just condolences to the family and friends of Dennis Condrey. And man, he had been through so much, you know, and had beaten cancer multiple times, and you just hate to hear it, man. But it seems like there's rarely a week passes, you know, Tommy, that we don't lose somebody from the wrestling world. It's a shame.
Yeah, it's you know, and especially, you know, shoot my age group, and you know, there ain't a lot of us left. I mean, you know, and then course, Dougie's a younger age group. I mean, we've lost them. It's crazy, man.
Man, I'm gonna tell you every time, and I guess it's been a couple year and a half or so since I've seen Dennis and everything. But man, he was just the same then as he ever was before. And I mean, man, it was a pleasure to sit and mingle with and tell stories and talk to and everything. But man, he was what was real cool. All the times I was around Dennis, it didn't matter what the circumstances was. I never seen him really bitter or nothing about anything. He was just like me and Tommy have talked about. Dennis was one of them. I don't think he sweated small stuff. He just went on and took care of his business.
And I know we've talked about it here before, but you teamed with Dennis for a period of time, man.
Yeah, that was cool. And I mean, he was so smooth. What people didn't realize, and I think Tommy would tell you this too, and from Tommy working with him, man, Dennis was smooth and he was tough. But I mean, you got to throw that tough in, but all those guys back then that started like then, there wasn't any, I don't think, Tommy, that wasn't tough, was there?
No, I mean, it's funny you said that because I heard, story, Dennis, Dennis was from Huntsville.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard some stories about Dennis in the bar, little bar room fight. I mean, of course, like you said, all them guys back then. I mean, if you was in a bar room fight, you'd want them on your side, not against you. I mean, ain't none of us promised tomorrow, but when you leave marks like that we're here bragging on them and stuff. I mean, it's like I just lost my mom recently, and we had she didn't want no sadness. She wanted it to be a celebration. And I think when we do this, it's just to celebrate their life too, though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I, like you said, Gene, I had the pleasure of teaming with Dennis there for a while. And man, it was so cool just to on the trips. And that's like what me and Tommy have told you before, Gene. People, they see us in the ring and we want everything to be great, but what they don't see or get the stories of them, like me and Tommy have talked about, man, if any of us have thought about just putting a little camera in the car with us or something and recording, that would be some of the coolest stuff that these days that you could watch that people would like, and they would say, dang, that really did happen. I mean, me and Tommy can tell you, Gene, some stuff and everybody out there some stuff. And then after they listen to this, they might think, or what we're saying is they think, that couldn't be real, could it? But actually, yeah, a lot of it was real, and it's almost unbelievable, but it was cool. Traveling with Tommy was always cool. Traveling with Dennis was cool.
Dougie talking about filming that stuff. Hey, we'd had to took our Polaroid camera out and done a slideshow because they didn't. back when we was doing it, man, they wasn't no cell phones and stuff like that, man. Back then, you couldn't. There wasn't no GPS, man. We had to get the old road atlas out, map that stuff out.
Rand McNally, we would have had Rand McNally and Randy West in the back seat in the corner with a camera that big.
That big old camera.
Yeah, the big one that took up the whole width of the car.
Yeah,
and everything. But what I'm saying, if you could have had, which I popped. Somebody sent me a video of it. It had to be, I would say, which Tommy will know, but they sent me a video clip of, I think it's got to be Tommy's first video that they ever done. You was in a big, you were going down the road in a car, and it was a country. What song was it? But I laughed. But
on the road again. Was that Trans Am?
No, you wasn't in no Trans Am. They had you driving a big, something like Daddy and them used to drive, like one of them. What was they? Those big long, was it Buicks or
Oldsmobile? Dad had one. He had an Oldsmobile 98, and that's what I ended up. I seen driving them Lincolns and Cadillacs. I thought, I'll get the bit. But of course, my first one was a 73 LTD that I ran the wheels off, and then I moved it on up to Oldsmobile Regency, and it's like the Coupe de Ville, big old long car.
Yeah, but and that's what. But you're in it. But I forget the song. But I laughed. I thought I've got to remember this and ask Tommy about it. But it had to be. I would say it was the first video they ever done of you. But it was to the whole song, like you leaving the house, getting in the car. But you gotta find that genius.
I'd like to see that one.
We'll see if we can't track that down. If somebody listening right now knows exactly what Doug's talking about, let me know and send me a link. But I'll be studying on it in the meantime. We'll have it here when Tommy least expects it here.
And if I ain't mistaken, somewhere in this video, what I popped about it, he's got on a cowboy hat too. So he must have been going through some cowboy days back in that year too.
I can't remember that one.
But it has to have been 76 or so, Tommy, right? 76, 77.
Yeah. Dang. Of course, I did a couple of videos in them cowboy hats. That daggum Dusty, when I went to Atlanta, he carried me to get my first pair of Dusty Rose carried me to get my first pair of cowboy boots. I'll never forget that. We went to Cowpuncher's Palace there in Atlanta. And anyway, he said, "Oh, baby, you got to have these, baby." And anyway, it's some of them snakeskin boots, which that was cool. But it was him. I don't know if he did it for a joke or he was serious, but it was something that you had the pointed toes. You kill cockroaches in the corner with. You had to buy about 2 sizes bigger to get that point in.
Oh, that's funny.
Cockroach kickers. There you go. Well, something else that was in the news this week. Big Sid that you mentioned, you're going to be doing that memorial show in August. Sid's going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
Man, I thought when I saw it, somebody sent me a video. Then I spoke with his son about it and told him congratulations. And man, I really think it's really cool and everything. And I'm proud for his family and everything. And it's just like I told Gunner, I wish it could have been done before. And when he was still here to accept it himself and everything. But I'm proud they put him in it. I mean, Sid, he gave a lot of years, a lot of his career to WWF and everything. I mean, I'm really, really glad they did it. I think he's well deserved as far as being in it.
Yes, sir. I mean, I was there in Memphis when he was Lord. Wasn't he Lord Humongous too?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I was there, and you talk about Andre, being a freak of nature and stuff. Sid was too in the wrestling business. I mean, God, he was so big and stuff, but could work too. To him, his family, man, congratulations. Because it is a big thing, and Sid does deserve it.
Absolutely. It's well deserved. I mean, I agree with Doug. I wish it could have been when he was here to accept it and give a speech and know about it. But man, it's very well deserved. Because I mean, how many people really could say that they went back and forth between WCW and the WWF and they were always on top? They were always in a main spot. And who else do you know that looked like that? I mean, come on. I mean, he looked like an action figure come to life.
And here's the cool thing, though. I think like people like myself and Tommy, we was around Sid enough. The people that wasn't, didn't know. They just knew what they heard about Sid. And it's like I said, and none of us are perfect. And right here is the perfect time to say this. Whatever I have ever done in the past, I'll take responsibility for it, and I'm not going to blame nobody else for it. And I think the same with Tommy. We ain't blaming nobody for nothing that I've done except Doug, and I don't think Tommy's blaming nobody for nothing he's done except Tommy. In me saying that, why I'm saying it for, well, I want to say it a while back, but I forgot. But like the people that didn't know Sid, you hear stories and people's got their own stuff. Now, listen, there's always, just because Tommy didn't show up at a show, don't mean that necessarily it was Tommy's fault. If Tommy didn't know about a show, how's he supposed to show up at it? But nobody gets blamed for that except, say, Tommy, or if I don't show up and I didn't know about it, nobody gets blamed but Tommy or myself. And like I said, I will take responsibility for all my stuff that I know of, and Tommy will all he knows of. Well, Sid gets blamed for a lot of stuff as far as the negative people. They don't know what the backstory on stuff is. And that's where, and that don't ever get said that, I mean, it's either if somebody says something about Tommy, it's 100% good, or he didn't do this, or if it's about me, or Doug didn't do this, or it's good. You don't get in between, but the people don't really know the whole truth to a lot of these stories.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Eddie got me booked back into Atlanta, they had the committee and Jim Hurd took it over. And I'll never forget this example. Of course, everybody knows I like to have me a Coors Light every now and then, probably more so. But anyway, Jim Hurd told me, he said, Tommy, he said, I don't care if you're drinking or not. He said, if you're standing outside of a bar or a tavern or something and somebody drives by and sees you outside the bar, whether you had a beer or not, they going to say, that Tommy was in front of that bar, toe up again, blah, blah. And, sometimes that ain't true, so there is two sides to every story.
Yeah. And it's harder now because of the internet, because things get around. But I mean, back in the day, I could go put out posters all over Gadsden saying, hey, May the 5th, Sid's going to be here on Gene's wrestling show. And I've never talked to the man, never booked him. He doesn't know he's advertised. He doesn't know the show's happening. And there's no way for that really to get back to him. But yet there's people all over Alabama going, Sid no-showed that show he was supposed to be on. I never even booked him. I just knew him on a poster would draw, and what would he'd never know about it. And that happened a lot back in the day. Still happens some, but usually somebody send this to you. Hey, Tommy, you're going to be in so-and-so. And there's your picture on a poster that's online. And you're like, no, I don't even know where that's at. I don't know what, don't know anything about it. So most people get called out. But, man, back before the internet, there was people getting advertised for shows all over the place that people had never even spoke to them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. And it happens probably a lot more than we know, too.
Yeah. That's true. But, Gene, you see what I'm saying, and I think you probably explained it a little better than I did. But Sid was always been Sid had a good relationship and everything, man. But all of us that worked with him, which Tommy worked with Sid, I worked with Sid and everything. But like I said, man, Sid stayed on the road, and like I said, he'd take breaks every once in a while. But I mean, that made him back fresh again. And Sid had that look that they aren't many people in the world had. And I mean, 6'8", 6'9", whatever he was. And I mean, he stayed in the gym. He wasn't a person that would just go and work out. He would go about 2 or 3 times a day and work out.
Yeah, and he was so athletic. I mean, a guy that size that could just jump from the floor up onto the ring apron and do those kip-ups in the middle of a match. Like you said, Tommy, it's kind of just like a freak of nature type thing. Is like a guy that size shouldn't be able to be that athletic, but he was. And like Doug said, he spent all that time in the gym to be that impressive. So, yep, it's cool he's going in. Certainly well-deserved.
And, Gene, let me throw this in here. I was just looking at my scribbling. You and Tommy would laugh at it and everything. But on July the 18th, which I think is a Saturday night, I will be in Nashville myself. Let's see who. It's for Pro Wrestling Entertainment. I think the Road Dogg will be there, and they're just putting it all together, but the date is July 18th, so that's also another good night of wrestling there in the Nashville area.
Mark it on your calendars, folks. That will be a good one. Our first question is actually going to be a clip that you guys can listen to, where you two will actually be able to see it. The listeners will be able to hear it. But this is from friend of the show, Rob Helt. He's my co-host for the Continental Podcast. Let's get to his question right now. Take it away, Rob.
Hey guys, I love your show. I've loved it from episode 1. My name's Rob. I'm from Dallas, Texas. And I want to say two things. Number one, to Tommy Rich, thank you for all the memories. Thank you for everything you've done for this business and the gallons of blood that you've shed for this business. And you've been one of my favorite wrestlers since I was 6 years old. The first match I ever saw was you against Ken Timms on TBS when I was 6. And so thank you for the memories. But I do have a question for Doug. Doug, I've watched you wrestle a lot of different places and things that you've done. And my question is serious, but sounds sarcastic, but it is serious. How many rolls of electrical tape have you gone through in your career? I'm just curious because it has to be in the thousands. Thanks, guys. Keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. Gene, you're a great host. Thank you.
Gene, I've went through more than most electricians have.
I would imagine so.
He
Because you would go from here.
He could rewire Puerto Rico by now.
Yeah, you're not kidding. And Gene, I didn't hit the button when the guy first started talking. What did he say right at the starting of it?
Oh, something about how he was a fan of Tommy, and he like. Okay. I'm just kidding.
I got you. Good deal.
He's a huge fan of Tommy, and
cool.
Of course, if you want to get your question included on the show, if you send in a video or something, best way to get it pushed to the front is put me over at the end, and I'll make sure that it gets played. You
dang right. It will be on before me and Tommy start talking. If you put Gene over at the first of it before me and Gene and Tommy come on, it'll be on. But no, yeah. But what the guy don't realize either is talking about electric tape. They think it's just me. What about every other night or something? If Tommy didn't have no tape or didn't nobody have any white tape, he'd have black tape. You could tell when nobody had any white tape because Tommy would be matching me. But now, as long as Tommy had tape, he'd have white and I'd have black. But if Tommy didn't have no tape, we'd both have black. So that's we kept the stores up and buying tape and gum and we bought plenty pads.
Now, something he did mention there, Tommy, in all seriousness, he mentioned the first match he ever saw was you wrestling Ken Timms. And that's a name I don't think that has come up on the show. Do you have any memories, either of you guys, of Ken Timms?
Just him wrestling there at Atlanta, son, he, of course, he went to Mexico a lot. But I, wasn't never around him a whole lot. And when I was, I just wrestled him. But he was a good worker. I mean, he could work good.
Yeah, we recently watched some matches you had with him in Continental when he was Mr. Class. They had the mask on. You had a few singles matches with him because he was part of Ron Fuller's stud stable there. And there were some really good matches. Let's see what else we got on the question agenda here. All right, so we'll see if you guys saw this or Mikey asks, did you guys see the recent incident in OVW with the referee who was having a seizure during a match? Do you have any thoughts or opinions on it? And what would have been the protocol back in the territory days if something like this were to happen during the middle of a match?
Well, I don't know if Tommy saw it or not. I saw what you're talking about, Gene, and we most definitely wouldn't have. I don't think they kicked him or just avoided him. We would have got somebody to have helped him. What is Tommy? Did you say the deal, Tommy? What he's talking about? A referee had a seizure, was laying in the middle of the ring.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, but no, we would have made sure that he got help. We all look. That's one thing I'll say about us, and even if you was big buddies or not big buddies, I think we all looked after one another health wise and everything because Gene, we worked every day. See, that's where, and two, what I mean by that was your health. You had to, you couldn't work if you wasn't healthy. And I mean, we all kind of looked after one another.
And that's the thing too. I mean, like Doug said, from the referee to everybody else on the card. I mean, you wrestle 6 days a week. You had to be in shape. Now, a lot of the guys, they just wrestle once or twice, and they're not. I mean, I think back then we were in real good shape back then.
But the answer as far as that's true. But I mean, we would have checked on and got help to the guy. I think right then instead of just kept on doing spots and going through the match. Now I don't know what I didn't hear what they said. Gene, what was their explanation, or do they have one? Or
Not really. I mean, people have kind of made excuses, but it's really weird because it was on a show that was being aired live, streamed live, and so you had a lot of eyes on it, and especially like in the back and on the monitors, and this went on for an uncomfortable amount of time. They just eventually, like you kind of mentioned, they just kind of pushed him out of the way, rolled him over out of the way so they could do their spots, and just really uncomfortable to watch. Al Snow, who, is over OVW, has made a couple statements, and they're doing some CPR training and different things, which where people will be more prepared as far as wrestlers and referees and ringside people and everything. But it's just an unfortunate thing to happen. And, training or not, though, you think common sense would dictate, hey, let's stop this match. This guy's obviously having a seizure over
hey,
here.
what would Corey Macklin have said, Gene?
It's a ridiculous in there. That guy's over there having a seizure. These guys just having a match. This is ridiculous. Get some help out there.
Now I ain't laughing about the guy. I'm laughing about Gene and it's Corey. Hey, you got to do that you got to do some of them. I'm sure you do in your comedy act. Do you do a few imitations, Gene, in your?
Actually, I haven't worked a lot of that into my comedy set. I guess I need to do it. I don't know if people will know who Corey Macklin is in general, but
probably
I need to find some.
Just only us wrestling folks.
Yeah, if I can ever do a show if I can ever get booked to do a comedy set at a wrestling convention, that would probably kill. But I don't know how it would do in a bar in Jackson on a Saturday night, which I'll be doing again here in June. I've got a show up in Jackson, Tennessee again.
What night in June are you up there?
Let me get the calendar out here. Let's see. June. Saturday, June the 6th.
June the 6th. So 6/6/26.
Yep. Hub City Brewery. Folks are familiar with that. Come on out and check that out. Should be a fun night.
Man, that's a great venue, Gene. Have you been there? Do you know where you're?
I haven't. Richard sent me some pictures of it, and it looked really nice.
Hey, it's one of the happening spots in Jackson, and everything. But yeah, everybody go out and see Gene, and I'm gonna look at my schedule and see what I've got going on. And most definitely, if I'm not on the road, I will make sure that I'm there to see Gene and make sure that Gene entertains y'all.
And he will have a full report afterwards if it sucked.
Oh, yeah.
We'll hear about it.
I'll tell you the truth, Gene knows, and if Tommy was anywhere near town, he'll sure give you a report, won't he, Gene? Yeah,
if you get to go, Tommy will want you to record it and send it to him. So if it's bad, he can make fun of it right here on the show. So.
Yeah, Gene will be looking around the audience saying, "Hold on a second, let me see if I can see a camera here. Where's Tommy's spy at?"
Oh, yeah. All right. So our next question here, and this one's kind of interesting, I think. Let me find it so make sure I get his name right. He put this on Twitter, I believe it was. Jeff Brown asks, who were some of your favorite enhancement guys to work with? And among them, who do you believe deserved to get pushed?
Tommy, you want to start? Or?
Dang, back then, of course, you had your guys that were job guys, and that they were going to get beat, but there was some, shoot, it's hard for me to remember the guys that was working with sometimes. But
here's the kicker, Gene. I don't mean to cut you off, Tommy, but like if you look back, I mean, a lot of guys that got breaks, just when people saw them, I mean, they might have been enhancement talent at first, but look like one of the guys that I loved and was a great guy, Big Bubba, Ray Traylor. Well, I mean, if you look at him on Tommy and them's TV there in TBS, he was, if you pull up some of that early stuff, they just saw him. He was a big guy and he could move, but I mean, they just saw him, putting guys over, and then they give him that gimmick and everything. So, I mean, you can look, Tommy, there's a lot of guys like that, right? Which, people want to say the job guys, enhancement talent, whatever you want to call it. Shit, I tell people that ask me or say that a lot of times, Gene, I say, shoot, this guy one time, he walked up to me in Evansville, Indiana. There was 2 shows, Memphis. Tommy and them was in Memphis. They sent me and Brian, I think Lawler and Tommy and a group was in Memphis because it was one of the holidays, but they had both buildings leased, Jarrett did. So they had to run Memphis. It was like on Wednesday night and Evansville on Wednesday night. So the 2 people they sent to Evansville was me and Brian. And like I was going to say the big stars, which I guess that's what I should say. Tommy and Lawler and the rest of the crew was in Memphis, which Memphis was the bigger town and everything. So me and Brian go to Evansville. So they wound up about 2 more guys out of the territory, or 4 goes with us. Everybody else is with Tommy and Lawler in Memphis. Well, they bring some guys in. A guy had called the office, and Jarrett told him, said they could have a tryout match if they wanted to in Evansville. Now I never had heard him say that. Well, what they needed, they would short some guys. Well, this guy walked up to me talking about, guys just getting seen and wind up being good. Now, I'm not saying this is what happened in this case, but he walked up to me, Gene, he stuck out his hand, which that was nice. And I said, how you doing? And he just shook my hand. I said, my name's Doug Gilbert. And he said, yeah, I know who you are. I said, do you have a name? And so he said what his name was, but he said, yeah, my name is just say Joe. And my record's 16-4, and I'm 3-0 in battle royals. and so as I'm looking at him, I start looking around. I thought, somebody is really messing with me here. And I said, okay. I wasn't really sure what to say. That was the first time. And I don't think it's ever happened since, except for people that was at that show, and like a couple of the others. I think Brian, said the same thing to Brian. And when Brian come up to me later at night, I said, did you meet all them guys? He said, what's your record?
I knew that was going to be what he said.
I bet you told him. I figured you were going to say you told him 3,004 and 1 or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
but my point to that is, Gene, that guy said that, and we're talking about enhancement thing. A guy asked me one day, and he was talking about, this job guy or that job guy, and I looked at him and I said, buddy, I've made more money putting over people than I have beating people. So I said, maybe I'm a decently paid enhancement talent, because I said I've done pretty well and I paid my bills. But I mean, what you're saying. But like, there's guys like what I was saying, like Big Bubba, that was just putting guys over. If you look at the starting of his career, but Tommy, there've been 1,000. There's been a ton of guys like that, right?
And that was the thing back when it was territories too. I mean, you might say you start out in Georgia, and most guys did start out as working on TV, getting beat, or being a job guy or something. And you might start in Georgia, and Mr. Barnett called down to Eddie Graham in Florida and say, hey, this kid's doing pretty good. We're using him to put guys over on TV and stuff, but he might be a good hand for you. And they might go to Florida and, like Dougie said, get a break to where they're on the card. And what made our business so good, and especially for the younger guys breaking in, it was that we wrestled 6 days a week or 7 days a week, and it was steady, and it's all about repetition. And plus we got to learn from the best too. I mean, you see wrestling schools everywhere now, and it's hard because, which I don't know a lot of people now, but a lot of these schools, I ain't even never heard of some of these people that's got to school. So they'll get some buddies together, go book a show, and it just, so that was one plus to the business. I mean, they actually would look at the boys, and if they seen something there, whether it be the charisma or whether it be wrestling in the ring or whatever it was, if they seen a little something in you, they would take and wouldn't beat you to death. They would send you somewhere else or give you the opportunity to go if you wanted to.
And it all depended on, Gene, who was booking and what they, like Tommy said, and if that person went there and then that booker or somebody in the office in their mind saw something for them, the look that they had or the way they worked or just the way they walked, anything like that, right, Tommy?
Well, yeah, and Eddie, I mean, you take Eddie. I mean, Eddie would take, and you think, God, what's he doing? But he'd take and make him a star, I mean, So, and like Dougie said, I mean, it's, it's timing too, and it's, but being at the right place at the right time. I mean, or the right booker for you. I mean, there was a lot of opportunities back then but you paid your dues to get in the business back then too. You had to know how to wrestle. I mean, so even though they was getting beat up on TV or whatever, they still had to pay their dues to get in. And even underneath, I mean, back then you worked 6 days a week, you could make a living doing something you love to do, even if you was underneath. And you had the opportunity to, if you progressed and proved yourself, to move on up, and work some angles. The opportunity was there for those that produced.
And Gene, I just thought about this. It was funny. Was Tommy was talking about earlier. We talk about different people, and it ain't nothing as far as the last thing we want to be negative. We want to have a good time and laugh, and everybody, like what they're listening to and everything. But funny thing, this past weekend, I don't think everybody for coming out to Jackson. Man, we had a good house, a good crowd there, and everything. And I think everybody had a great time. And they brought the microphone over to. After the meet and greet, after I think there was a couple matches, they brought a microphone over to myself and the King, and they asked us, did we have a few thoughts that the people might want to hear about Bert Prentice? And I told a couple stories and everything, and the people laughed and cheered. And then the first one, I laughed, and of all things, which I said, you know what? I said, I've worked for Bert Prentice from Jackson to Timbuktu. I said, there ain't many towns that myself and the King here haven't worked for Bert in. And the first thing he said, which is, like Tommy said, you want everything to be positive, right? First thing when they had him the microphone, he looked at me, he said, I went to some of them towns and they wasn't good. And I laughed. I thought, he wasn't trying to be negative, but yeah. I laughed. But the way it come out, I laughed at him. He said, I went to all those towns, and some of them wasn't good. But I think some towns he didn't want to go back to. And everything. But he.
But that tells you what kind of person Bert Prentice was too, because Jerry, anytime Bert wanted him, I mean, Jerry pretty much was always there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was all the time, and that's what. And I told the story. I said, yeah, and I said, Bert had, some rules of thumb. I said, and most of them was right. I said, and he come up to me one night and he said, the King's not in the best mood or something. I said, well, he'll be all right, and everything. Like I said, and the whole deal, it don't matter what kind of mood anybody's in. When he got in the ring, it was, I mean, everything was fine. That's what I laughed when I come back after the match that I'd worked with him. Bert come in and said something to me. I said, I don't know what you was talking about. I said, everything was fine. I said, match was good. He was in a good mood, but he might just not been in a good mood with Bert at that time that night. But you talking about some funny, he told a couple funny stories and everything, but they was thick as thieves.
Yeah, I mean, King worked for Bert right up to the end, some of his last shows that he was able to promote. And I know you guys were there a lot as well. So
oh yeah, now he was they wasn't much bigger of a Tommy Rich fan than Bert.
Yeah, I traveled with Bert too some. Yeah, I went to Timbuktu with him. I mean, yeah, Bert was always good to me, and different people have different opinions, and Dougie's the same way too. I mean, you go by how somebody treats you, not by what somebody says. I mean, you treat me good, then I'm gonna treat you good. I mean, and I'm sure we've all stiffed somebody or something down the road. I mean, but that don't define you. And Bert, I mean, you talk about somebody being an all-around person. Bert was always there. I mean, Doug and me got in a little trouble up in West Virginia, and Bert done all he could to get us out. I mean, Bert was always there.
And if you would have asked anybody, they would have. Bert's name wouldn't have been on the list as far as calling to get some help if you needed some help. And me and Tommy needed. And I told Tommy, I said, of all things, I said, dang, I think he does know somebody everywhere. I'm talking about, Gene, you couldn't been more back in the mountains and the woods than me and Tommy was for anybody. I didn't think nobody would have knew anything. I would have figured there had been some kind of political, and it actually was kind of political. What Bert knew, but how he would know someone where we was at up there in West Virginia would it blowed my mind.
Yeah, we'll have to do a whole show on Bert sometime. Just talking about
but like I was saying about Jackson, I don't thank everybody for coming out, man. I think everybody had a big time, and like I said, myself and the King, we talked to a lot of cool old school wrestling fans talking about, and what was cool was to come up about Phil Hickerson and Dennis Condrey about different things, and they was talking about listening to the podcast and everything. And I told them, yeah, we tried to have a good time and talk about a lot of old good memories and stuff, and they said they really enjoyed it, and that made me happy. I told them that's what we done it for.
So we got a question from someone who identifies themselves as Mongo McMahon, and he asks, Buzz Sawyer versus Tommy Rich is one of the most legendary feuds ever. What made that rivalry so believable, and why do you think so many people still remember it and talk about it to this very day?
Because it was believable.
Well, because
I got the daylights beat out of me every night. I mean, and that's what made it good. I mean, it was, like sometimes you go to and you see the same. It was different with Buzz every night. I mean, he just and it was people. I mean, people believed it because it was about as real as you could be in the ring, because you'd fight for your life. I mean, he'd take care of me, but I seen him like Ole come to me. He said, "You think you can do an angle with him?" And I just seen him beating the daylights out of them guys on TV. I said, if he beats me up like that, I said, no, I can't. And I told Buzz the same thing. And as good as he could, he'd take care of me. But it was a fight, and he loved, he loved to go 30 minutes or longer, so you was up for a battle, every night. And we brought it too. I mean, it was, you figure we had that run for about 2 years. I mean, that's a pretty long time to have an angle go.
And you know why Tommy's exactly right, but simplifying why it was so good, Gene.
Why?
Buzz had heat. Tommy was over like a son of a gun, and they get sympathy. Something that I asked you and Tommy the other week, was there a baby face these days that was anywhere like that or in that vicinity? Remember me asking you that, Gene? But that simply, Tommy, that's as simple as it could be put, right? Tommy was over. Buzz had heat. They kept heat on Buzz. I mean, even if Tommy beat him, right after Tommy beat him, he'd get right back on Tommy and get his heat right back. Right, Tommy?
Yeah, and there again, that's another part of it. The best heels can get beat every night. If you're a good heel, you can get beat. Guys today, they worry about that stuff. But if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, if the babyface is doing his job and the heel's doing his job, heel can get beat every night and still get the heat back. I mean, because and Buzz had that. Buzz wasn't a very likable person anyway. I mean, he was an acquired taste, even in the dressing room. Buzz was acquired taste, and but I got along with Buzz. And that has a lot to do to it, because it was business. We were doing good business, and he knew. Now, every now and then he'd see Harley or somebody do a different move, and that's when I'd be scared, because he'd always want to do it to me. You see that move, and that's when I was worried. As far as the stuff in between, I didn't worry about that too much, because I knew he was going to take care of me as good as he could, and I would him too, because we had each other the next night and the night after that. So, but yeah, Buzz was an acquired taste, but had a heck of a run with him and made some good money, and it was a. It's a pleasure taking the ass whooping from him.
and you know what? And it goes back, Gene, which I think Tommy said. Would that have been when Ole was booking Tommy, I guess?
Yeah.
And you'd have to say something.
I only love Buzz Sawyer.
I was going to say, and you would have to say something about the booking must have been good with it. But bottom line, they drew so much money because Tommy was over. They kept Tommy over, kept heat on Buzz, or you don't work angles like that draw money.
Yeah. So we'll squeeze one more question in here. We're just about out of time, but this is one of the questions that we covered, Doug. We'll let Tommy answer it, and we still have a few more for a future episode. But Paul Thompson asks, Who is someone in the wait a minute? I crossed over the wrong one here. Who is legitimately the funniest guy you ever met in professional wrestling, Tommy?
And I'll go ahead, Tommy, give you a minute to think on it. I'll tell you who I said, Tommy, and you're going to laugh. I told him to be around and just to walk up to you and be funny, and to be around like Brad Armstrong was one of the funniest. To me was one of the funniest. Was Brad not really?
You wouldn't think Brad would be. I mean, you wouldn't think Brad would be because he just got quiet and stuff. But yeah, Brad, that's a good pick.
Yeah.
Of course, I was around old Piper a lot, and Piper, that's what my wife tell Lynn. She said Piper. He was just fun. He was just funny. I mean, just stuff he'd say and just things he'd come up with. I mean, of course, and I spent some time with him in Georgia. Me and him become pretty good friends. But yeah, he was funny.
But I've learned something, Gene. It's good if we can learn something every day, right? When I'm talking from now on, acquired taste, politically correct.
Boy,
acquired taste. Tommy has come up with, I don't know, he's taught me something on here in this hour. Acquired taste.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a good one. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in my back pocket as well, because that's a very polite way to say.
Terry must have told him that.
She's holding me cue cards.
Acquired taste.
She's like, do not say a-hole, Tommy. It's acquired taste.
There you go. See,
I was fixing to say that had to have been about the same when I said who was the booker, and when I said would that have been Ole, that would have had to have been an acquired taste, wouldn't it, Tommy?
Oh man.
Oh yeah. Me and him had that love-hate relationship. I like to make money, and he liked to use me to make money. So, yeah. But toward the, he just, Ole was a lot of bark, and I guess that's a tough spot to be in. Yeah, I don't know that we were fans of each other to get beginning, but we finally got, I don't know that we become good buddies. But he never took me out to eat dinner.
Good buddies.
Yeah.
Acquired taste. Remind me if you're with me that acquired taste. Now I'll be in good shape. That means everybody's liked.
I love it. From all my hearing people talk over the years and interviews and in person, did Ole really have a lot of good buddies? I don't think he had too many good buddies, did he?
Well, him and Stan Hansen was pretty tight with him, and him and Ivan, he had, I don't know how much, I don't know that they went and ate dinner together either, but they were partners and they seemed to get along. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Say their acquired taste was a little more acquired than yours was.
Their taste was a little different from mine.
They managed to acquire it where maybe you didn't. That's
right.
Well, I think that's a great one to end on, Doug. We learned something new, and we'll just wrap it up there. I don't know how we can top that. And there's still some more questions from before we'll ask you, Tommy, and there's still questions coming in. So always, if you have any questions for these guys, please email them to DougGilbertPodcast@outlook.com. And I promise you, each and every one will get asked right here on the show.
And I want to remind everybody, Gene, about, if you want to get the book, it's still out on Amazon. You can get it, The Uncrowned King of Professional Wrestling, How Stuff Eddie Gilbert on Amazon. And I was just looking, Tommy, this guy had sent me, Tommy's got a great brother, just like brother to me, Steve. Steve, is his address actually, I ain't going to give his house address, get anybody send him anything, Tommy, but ain't it Ashland City? Is Ashland City where he lives? Ain't that?
Yeah.
That's where I said Nashville I would be. A guy just sent me a text, Gene, of all things, we're still on here, though. I said Nashville, but Ashland City is actually where that show will be on the 18th July 18th of 26. And I said that myself and Road Dogg will be there, and we'll see if we can't get Tommy up here for that, or see what his schedule's like. And also, Tommy's going to be, we didn't plug this, Tommy is going to be in Las Vegas. This ain't a secret, is it, Tommy? Tommy's going to be in Las Vegas on the, what would the dates be, Tommy? It's April the
15th.
It's Friday, Saturday, right, Tommy? That sound right?
Yeah. It's I'm coming in. That's the reason I'm confused. It's I think I'm coming in on the 15th, which is a Thursday. I think it's 16th and 17th, Friday and Saturday. We'll be there. I mean, but it's a whole weekend. I mean, it's with WrestleMania's there, and then of course we're with the WrestleCon. There's a lot of stuff going to be going on, man. It's if you're a wrestling fan, that'll be the place to be, because there's so much. If you love some wrestling or like to see legends or some legends to be, man, they'll all be in Las Vegas that weekend.
There's 50 wrestling shows probably, right, Tommy, in 5 days.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then Dougie, last time me and Dougie went, we did our show, and then Dougie got us booked with GCW. And what was the fella's name we liked so good? I seen him served a little time.
Shoot, by mine, your buddies, that could be a number of people.
Gage.
I couldn't think his doggone
Nick
name.
Gage.
Yeah,
Gage?
that's it. Nick Gage.
So you saw Nick? Yeah, I love Nick.
Yeah, he was cool, man. Big shout out to Nick too, man. It's good to see you. Yeah,
they told me the other day. Somebody told me he sent me a text, and we text back and forth. But he's always been super cool, man. I told Tommy I saw him in Ohio sometime here a while back and everything. We caught up and everything. But he's always been really cool to me. But anyway, Gene, listen. I think we have. I think Tommy has answered all of your questions, and he's taught me and you in our definition a few other things to say. If someone's not the best liked person, it's acquired taste, right?
Yes, sir. That's it.
Well, I feel like Tommy tells people, I do a podcast with Doug and this guy Gene. He's an acquired taste. You probably won't like him, but listen to it for us. But I feel like he's probably described me as that before.
Well, that's what your wife said. You was an acquired.
Oh man, that's funny.
Hey, but the anniversary, man. I know your wife had a good time. I heard y'all went to Atlanta and everything, so I'm glad y'all had a good time, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
it. Hey, that is right. Everybody wish Gene a happy anniversary. And listen, Gene, thanks for putting up with me and Tommy. And man, we hope everybody enjoyed the show. And y'all remember, if you need anything from Tommy and myself, just shoot Gene a message and he will get it to us, whether it's wrestling shows, conventions, whatever it might be. Shoot it to Gene and he'll get it to us. And listen, thanks everybody for listening. Peace. We're out.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down. Wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. You scurry away, glory in their veins. Fighting legends breaking chains. In the square circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast keeps ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stakes. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, and cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast